Welcome to Her Handmade Hustle Unplugged, a podcast for all women with a creative business who want to learn more about how to make money doing something they love. I'm Joanne Pearce, a female entrepreneur myself, 15 years experience running my own handmade stationery business, Vintage Twee. I'm an established seller on two of the biggest handmade marketplaces, so I've got a whole load of advice to share about how to start and run your own successful creative business. I'm also a wife and a mother, so I get the struggles of trying to do it all while you're raising a family. It's hard. Alongside running Vintage Twee, I'm also a mentor for other women like me who desperately want to work for themselves but just need that bit of support to get going and get their business dream off the ground. I'm a friendly northerner, I'm open and honest with a huge heart and a real fighting spirit, and I'm living proof that you can achieve anything that you set your mind to, even in the face of adversity. This podcast celebrates the selflessness, strength, and resilience of women in business. So if you're ready to ditch the 9 to 5 and learn how to start your own successful creative business, you're in the right place. Welcome to a very special episode of the Her Handmade Hustle Unplugged podcast. Today, I'm joined by one of the most amazing human beings that I have ever met. Her name is Lucy Thompson, and she gave me back my nipples, or as close to them as I'm ever going to get now. Lucy is a highly skilled medical tattoo expert. She is trained in the art of hyper-realistic 3D nipple tattoos to help women like me who have undergone breast surgery to reclaim their bodies after losing a part of them through no fault of their own. Lucy is the founder of the Nipple Innovation Project, or NIP for short, which is the UK's first mastectomy tattoo charity, providing these fully funded, unbelievably realistic nipple tattoos to breast cancer patients. And her mission is simple: to empower and dignify people who have been to hell and back as a result of breast cancer and give them access to professional tattoos that are permanent, safe, and enable them to draw a line under what they've been through and move on. Because that's all we want to do. We're tired of people touching our breasts, of being vulnerable, of having a daily reminder of what we've been through every time we look in the mirror. It's pretty shit. And I've not even had breast cancer. Mine was preventative. And it's not about vanity. I know that no one else is going to see my nipples apart from me, my husband and my 5-year-old, who is like a bloody magician at the minute and seems to appear like some mirage from behind the steam in the bathroom every time I'm taking a shower. No, it's about self-confidence. It's about not being reminded of what's constantly missing. It's about the principle of putting something back that was taken from you when there was nothing you could do about it. Now, Lucy is a real trailblazer. She's a fighter, both for herself and for the women she's helping, and she's a real force to be reckoned with. I know she's going to pave the way for some groundbreaking changes in this field, and we are so honoured to have her on the podcast to talk all things nipple related. So without any further ado, here she is. Welcome, Lucy. Hi, Lucy.
Hi, good morning.
Morning. Oh my God. You are the first person that I have done a podcast with who has seen my breasts, right? Husband aside. So this is going to be interesting. But no, seriously, thank you so much for doing this. We had a really good chat, didn't we, when you were doing my nipple treatment, for want of a better word. And we decided this will be a brilliant idea that we could come on and do a podcast together, because we have got so much to talk about and loads to say. Honestly, I just feel honoured that I'm able to interview you. So thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Because you are a true expert in your field, for a start. You're like the celebrity in the world of nipple tattoos. You're what I like to call a real earth angel. You know, you are helping people, don't cry, like me, reclaim their bodies after a really important part of it has been taken away through no fault of their own, you know. So you are a true superhero. But not just that, you're also the founder of the Nipple Innovation Project, which is NIP for short, and it's the UK's first mastectomy tattoo charity, which provides free 3D hyper-realistic nipple tattoos to patients that have gone through breast cancer or had a mastectomy like myself. And these tattoos last a lifetime, and it's something that you are campaigning to be an essential service that's available to people who have been through this kind of trauma. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We have got so much to talk about. And I really think we should start with, how the hell did you realise you were so good at nipple tattoos?
Um, well, I guess it was for me to learn this. It came from a place of pain, really. I was just a regular tattoo artist at the time. I had a huge fascination with working with scars, scar cover-ups. My mentor had always said, "Don't go near them," so I didn't. But then, when I was hearing people's stories of why they wanted to cover the scars up, I felt like really drawn to wanting to help them, and I could see how transformative they were. And I started to offer out one free a month, and through that, I was asked to do a nipple tattoo for someone. This person explained that she'd had them done in the hospital, they'd faded away, and she just couldn't bear to look at herself. And I was like, what do you mean you've had a hospital tattoo? Like, this was the first time I'd ever heard of this service. So I approached my auntie, who I'd known she'd had a mastectomy previously, and I just sort of said, "Have you had these tattoos done in the hospital?" And she said, "Yes, and I don't want to talk about it. It was awful." And I was like, "What do you mean you don't want to talk about it?" Like, I pushed it a little bit. I was like, "Tell me more." And she explained to me that she'd had them done in the theatre by her surgeon. She said that it was just the pain was so intense that she couldn't breathe. There was like blood pouring down the side of her body. Um, and she said that it scabbed up heavily and then it just faded away. And she said that was 10 years ago, Lucy, and I haven't looked at my breast since.
Wow.
And it was, yeah, it was a real moment of like, what? Why? That's not how a tattoo should be. And why is your surgeon tattooing you? And so I started to look into it a little bit more and find out where this service is being offered. And I found out that it was being offered in the majority of hospitals throughout England at that time. And through surgeons and nurses that have only done a 2-day training course in tattooing. And the tattoos were semi-permanent, and I just couldn't comprehend, and still can't comprehend to this day, why that was a thing. So I sought out training. There was none available in England. It was all semi-permanent, and I just didn't agree with that. And then I actually found someone in America who had had a preventative mastectomy. She was a tattoo artist. She'd gone through the same thing. The surgeon had like caused scarring, overworking to her body. She was so cross that that had happened to her. And she started a bit of a movement. So I actually travelled to Texas in 2017 to train with her. Because I just felt that I could learn this, I could do this, and I could actually make a difference with it. So that's like kind of what got me started, really.
Oh my God, what a story. So you're like a proper trailblazer in this field. You know, you're the person that is leading the way. I mean, just touching on the NHS tattoos, because a lot of people don't realise that. So when you have breast surgery, you are offered a standard, an NHS tattoo to
Yeah.
replace the nipple that has been taken away. And they are semi-permanent, aren't they? So they often fade within a year. I was reading on the NIP website a bit of information about it, and the fact that the skin that it's going on is so traumatized already, so it can be difficult holding the pigment in, which is why they fade. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. It's the skin is so fragile, compromised. It's been through many surgeries, often treatment like radiotherapy, which further compromises the skin. So, for someone that has no experience in tattooing to go straight into working with that type of skin is it's just unheard of in the tattoo industry. That's something you work your way up to. Unfortunately, a lot of the time they are well meaning. I don't want to take that away from them. They're doing the best they can, but they do cause further damage to the skin because unfortunately they don't have the tattoo experience that needed to be able to read and the skin and to know not to overwork it. So, and they use pigments that are designed to fade away as well. And there's no artistry to it. It's a very basic circle, one size fits all that they offer. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy, really. It really is.
I know, and I remember, like, I think it was making you laugh, wasn't it, when we were having mine done, because I was saying that I got an appointment through at my hospital, so it was like a year post surgery. When I thought it was to see my consultant at the time, so whether I didn't read the letter properly, I don't know. I had that many bloody hospital letters, I didn't know what I was going for. But when I turned up, the breast nurse was sat there with a tattoo gun and like this sort of set of stencils of different nipple sizes. And I walked into the room and she was like, "Oh right, are you ready for your nipple tattoos?" And I just looked at her and I thought, you can step away with that bloody gun, you ain't coming near me. Absolutely no way I'm having this done, because not just I've heard a load of horror stories, but it's such a major thing to do, and it has to be right and it has to look
Yeah,
right. Because the last thing you want to do is have to revisit it again in a year or 2 years or whatever when it's faded. Because I think I said to you, like, hopefully you are going to be the last person now that touches my breasts or that sees my breasts, because I've been so fed up with people fondling them and seeing them, that this for me and for a lot of women, it draws a line under it for you. And you realise that that was sort of the most important thing for women that are undergoing this, that it's a final chapter for them so they can move on.
yeah, definitely.
That's how I felt. And it's not a cosmetic thing. It's not because we just want to look good. Obviously,
No,
that's part of it, but it's like reclaiming, like we say, that part of yourself that has been taken away.
yeah,
And for me, it was about not being constantly reminded of what's missing.
yeah,
Because you look in the mirror and you've just got these two blank discs that where your nipples were. So, my surgeon was fabulous, like absolutely fabulous. He did an amazing job. When they graft the skin, or for mine, it was from my stomach, and they make like these nipple discs, don't they? So that's what you were tattooing over. And the shape and everything, the way that my breasts look now is phenomenal, but we're just missing that last like cherry on top. And now I look in the mirror and I feel like I can look at them again. And you,
oh,
and that's been because of you.
oh, that's so lovely to hear. Oh,
Yeah, that's exactly how I'm sure you make a lot of people feel. So with NIP, its mission is to empower breast cancer survivors and people that have undergone mastectomies, and to get them to reclaim that part of their body. But I wanted to talk a little bit about this kind of tattoo artist that you train. So let's just say there's someone listening to this who is a tattoo artist and who's interested in doing it. Like, how do they become qualified in the artistry?
So I opened a training academy called the Areola Academy a few years ago to offer like a mentorship style training to people. Again, the training available in England is lacking. It's usually from permanent makeup artists. No shade to them, but they are using techniques that are suitable for small areas of the face, like eyebrows, eyeliner, lips. So I have a different perspective that I teach from my traditional tattoo background. Um, and yeah, I offer it's like a 6 month training program that I spread it out that way because there's so much to learn. No two bodies, no two reconstructions are the same. They're also unique and different. No two nipples are the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, the idea is for people to join and train with me, and then work on some case studies. And I'll only teach people who already have tattoo experience. Because of all the damaged tattoos I've seen, I very much believe this is an advanced service, and you have to be able to tattoo already and be confident tattooing before you take this on. Because I feel like so much responsibility in making sure that this service is offered out safely and consistently. Um, and the goal is to grow the directory through the Nipple Innovation Project. So I was very lucky when I first started doing this work. The BBC covered me doing this work, and it kind of went viral. And I had people travelling from like Inverness in Scotland and Brighton to me in Bradford, which was incredible. But
Oh,
also a lot of people couldn't travel. Cancer affects people in very different ways, and travel is often a luxury. And I felt that if we had a directory of artists throughout the country that were specially trained and reached the standards we'd set, then that would make it more accessible for people in need. And through the charity, we also fundraise to cover the costs of the treatments. Again, some people are not in a position to pay for the tattoos because of the effects of cancer, and we don't feel, like you said, it's not a cosmetic treatment. It's essential in our view, and we feel that cost should not be a factor when considering this empowering treatment. Because it's through no fault of their own. So yeah, that's kind of a bit about the mission and our goals, really.
yeah, I was going to ask you about that because how many artists are there in the UK now? Because the aim is to have one in every region, isn't it?
Yeah. At the minute we have 8. Like I said, we've set a standard, so the artists have to meet the standard that we've set, and they have to provide case studies, and we are very strict on that. So we choose quality over quantity, really, so we can be fully confident with who we're working with. So we've just done a round of applications, so we'll be taking on some new artists in the next couple of months, which is very exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Um, But because we are volunteer run, we've had to sort of change the process, and just so we can manage things better with our limited resources.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you, like, so when it comes to funding this, so a lot of people said to me, "Oh, how much would this have cost you if you were going to have to pay for it?" So, what is the average cost for this kind of service if you were paying for it?
It's different all over the country, and I think that comes down to like experience and things like that. Through the charity, we for a unilateral nipple tattoo we pay £250. For bilateral nipple tattoos we pay £350, which I think's a fair amount to cover 2 treatments and all the equipment and everything. That's all we can really afford as a charity at the moment because we don't have a regular income. We do rely on sort of donations and fundraisers, and some people like to pay it forward, so it's very much a community project in that sense.
It's amazing. A lot of people don't even know that this exists. And this is the
Uh,
thing, they don't know. And, until I was put in this position, I didn't know either. And I think this is the main thing and why I want us to do this podcast today is to let people know out there that this is there for them to access if they need it. Because, like you were saying about traveling when you've had cancer, I know, like, my sister, obviously, as you know, she has had the worst hand dealt to her ever, went through all this preventative surgery, and yet somehow still got breast cancer, which we was discovered in her armpit. And thankfully now she's had her treatment. She's doing really well. Life is starting to feel a little bit more normal again, I'd say. We're getting a bit of distance from it. It can be a real stumbling block for people's recovery if they've not got easy access to this kind of service. And you take a hit when you've been off work, whether you've had cancer or you've had an illness, you've got no money. Like for me, I work for myself. I had to close for a long period of time, which we've barely recovered from, to be honest. So to have something like this funded, which is life changing, is amazing. You can donate on the website. So I'm going to put a link to that in the show notes as well for anybody that would like to make a donation to this charity. I mean, the fundraising that you do, what kind of things is it you do?
oh, our main campaign is it came from a passion of mine called water swimming, and what we do is throughout October we encourage people to do a dip for nip. So it's some kind of cold water dip, and that can be anything. I personally have done. I've got like a cold tub at home. I've done like 31 days of cold dips. Some
Wow.
people might do a week of cold showers. We do organise some community events throughout, obviously Yorkshire, where we're based, London, and in other places through the country, where we've got like a Ilkley Lido local to us, which is an outdoor pool. So last year we had community event and we had loads of people turn up that had never done it before. It was freezing, but it was amazing for people to push themselves out of the comfort zone and try something new that gives you lots of health benefits as well in a safe way. So it is what you want it to be. We encourage people to obviously get sponsored, to challenge themselves, and I feel like it's been a great success. We've been doing it for 2 years and I'm really excited for this year's as well. We've got lots in the pipe.
Dip for nip. I want to do.
Ilkley Lido will be doing one at, so it's not far at all.
I'm going to look out for that. That sounds so good. Because we were saying, weren't we, one of your interests is cold water swimming, isn't it? Or,
Yeah, for me, it's like a good way to like recenter myself and connect with my body. You know, if my mental health's suffering for whatever reason, it's my go-to place to just go and just chill. You know, it literally. um, yeah, I love it when it's summer and it's warm. It's kind of disappointing because you don't get the same shock as
yeah.
when it's colder. So yeah, it's great.
This. I need to try it. Obviously, raising money like that is massive, and something that I want to support in the future, through her handmade hustle if I can as well. So one of the things that I guess you must struggle with, and I think I've seen it a little bit on your Instagram account, is censorship and the fact that a lot of your stuff just gets blocked or isn't available for people to see just because of the nature of what we're talking about. But how ridiculous is that? Like,
Yeah, it's been going on 8 years now, and I am so bored of it. It is honestly just, in a way, it's a compliment to how realistic the tattoos look, but it is a tattoo. It gets flagged as nudity or sexual activity, and it's insane because it's not, it's a tattoo. You know, it's in their community guidelines to specifically say that post-mastectomy scarring for educational reasons is allowed, and that's what it is. It's like you say, a lot of people haven't heard about it. Nipples is a very taboo subject. People don't talk about these things, so and everyone uses social media, so it's imperative for us to be able to use our platforms to be able to raise awareness and break down those barriers and normalize these discussions, because we've met people that have lived for 10 years without nipples, and they've had them and said, I wish I'd have known this 10 years previously. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So, but men's nipples are not a problem.
No, I bet they're not. No, exactly. This is the thing, isn't it? It's not right at all. And just touching on that as well. So I'll give you an example. When I was in Dunelm the other day, right, took my neighbour out for some lunch, birthday lunch. Like, know how to live it up in Dunelm Cafe. Anyway, obviously couldn't get my nipple out in the middle of Dunelm, but she was really intrigued to see what it was like. So I thought, right, well, I've got a few pictures on my phone. I'll show her. So I showed her on my phone. She was absolutely amazed. But I could see these two ladies behind us sat having the fruitcake and a cup of tea. Just like that, eyes were wide open, looked completely horrified, thinking, what is it they're looking at? I could see them trying to listen to what we were talking about. And I just thought, I'm going to keep this going here for a bit.
Yeah.
I'll just have a look at this angle and do this. It was really interesting to see people's reaction. Obviously, they didn't know what we were talking about, so it probably was a bit weird to them. But I just thought, like, you must get a lot of problems and barriers in front of you when you're trying to get this message out there. And it's not fair at all, because it is a medical procedure that
Yeah.
is essential. That's how I feel about it. And you do too, I know.
Yeah, definitely. I remember when I first started doing this, like my grandparents have been my biggest supporters of this from when I first started. But I remember my granddad, who was like a typical Yorkshire farmer, he couldn't even say the word nipple. Like he couldn't, he just couldn't say it. You could see he was stuck visibly with his words. And now he's like, he will look at photos and he will talk about it. He even took some of my nipple stickers and put them on his tractor before he went to market. And I was like, yes, Grandad, I love that, because I know that it would have turned some heads and they'd be like, what is this? But I was just like, what a legend. I loved it.
Oh, good. Well, my daughter found the nipple sticker that you put in the little goodie bag that you gave me when we left. Anyway, she decided to stick it on a t-shirt, like right in place of her nipple. It was hilarious. And she's walking around with it, going, "Oh, look, mummy, I've got a real nipple." So funny. I saw on your Instagram feed that you did a spray paint, didn't you, of a nipple? What was
Yes.
that about? That was so cool.
Yeah, just that's a skill that I discovered in lockdown when I was traveling with friends in Ireland. I actually did like my first ever one. Of course, I was going to do a nipple. I did a 6 foot nipple, and I remember making a TikTok video about it quite a few years ago. They actually completely banned, removed, deleted my account for sexual activity. They reviewed it. They said no, like you can't have it back. Deleted my account.
So
But if anything, I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to carry on doing it. So I was in London recently for a charity event, and there was a graffiti tunnel in London, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to leave a nipple, because it's a conversation starter. So
yeah.
many people came up to me whilst I was doing it, and they were like, why are you doing that? What is this? And like, we explained what we did, and they're like, oh, that's amazing. It's about planting seeds and breaking through the stigma, and just thinking outside the box, I think. So my mission to spray paint nipples continues, and I'm always looking for places to leave a giant nipple.
I'll tell you what, we've got this wall in Glossop where I live, right? And there's an artist that does murals on the wall. And he's got one of Vivienne Westwood, who lived near Glossop. He's just done another one, and there's a space in the middle, right? And I think there's a space for a giant nipple there, if I'm honest with you. Side of pound stretchers.
Oh, I'm there. I'm there. I'll do it.
Obviously, you've got the most amazing tattoos all over your body. I have a question for you, which has come from Eden, my 5-year-old. And she actually said to me, can you ask Lucy if she has got a tattoo on her boob?
I mean, yeah. So I tattooed my nipples into love heart shapes.
Amazing. That's what I was going to do.
So you still could if you wanted.
Really? Oh,
Yeah. um. Yeah. My areolas were just really pale, and when I first started doing this, there was like no definition to the edges, and I loved how they looked. So there was no one else doing this work at the time, so I was like, do you know what, I'm just going to do it myself. So I did.
How do you do that yourself?
Basically stood in the mirror, and I had my shop friend at the time. She helped me like stretch my skin and stuff, and it wasn't the smoothest of applications, but I did it. So and once I started it, I had to finish it. So yeah.
I love that. Absolutely love it. Because someone said to me, "Why don't you just get like a pair of stars tattooed on there?" And I thought, I could do, but I
Yeah,
like the idea of the love heart.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that brilliant. I love it. And also, we were talking about tattoos in general, weren't we? I was thinking, what else could I get? Like, I've always wanted to have another tattoo. And you said to me something that really made me think. And you said, well, you don't actually have to have anything that means anything to you. Like, just have something that you like and something that you enjoy. And then you said, you've got a block of cheese on your arm.
Yep. I love cheese. There's no denying it.
So it's got me thinking about what I could have tattooed on my wrist. Well, so the jury's out at the minute. I've not decided. Well, what can we do to help? Obviously, the dream for Nip is to have easy access to verified tattoo artists in every region of the UK. But how close are we to getting to that dream?
Um, it's quite slow, to be honest. I think a big part of it is awareness. I think having shadow bans and things like that. Honestly, I'm just so tired of fighting them. I don't even know if I think my profile is restricted. I think the charities is. So like reaching our people, I suppose, experienced, compassionate tattoo artists who are looking to learn, and help people within their communities is important because we have partnered with Bradford NHS and we are in talks with several other NHS trusts who are keen to partner with us as well throughout the country, which would obviously just make it even more accessible to people. It feels like we've got this really good solution here that
No.
but it's just been heard by the right people, I think. So I think awareness is a huge part of it in the sense of potentially just giving us a follow, supporting us online, maybe sharing things. If anyone were able to do some kind of fundraising event, that always helps raise awareness because like you say, a lot of people don't know it exists. It's a very personal treatment that you wouldn't know about unless you needed to know about. So having conversations around nipple tattoos is important because it might plant the seed for someone in the future. You might think, oh, do you know this is available? So I guess awareness is just a huge part of what we do and our mission. So yeah.
And I'll help you as much as possible with that from this day forward. I mean, I've honestly have told so many people about you already, about the work that you do. Probably more people than should have seen my nipples now, because they are just fascinated by them. And because it's a tattoo as well, you don't feel like you do if you were going to show someone your nipple. It's not like,
Yeah.
we'll have a look at this. This is actually, look at the artistry behind this. People cannot believe it. I've shown like three of my closest friends and their jaws have been on the floor. They're just,
Oh.
are you joking? Like, that is a tattoo. And I'm like,
Oh.
sure, you can't touch it, but you can look. And it's actually showing people, I think, sometimes how
Yeah.
amazing the service is. So anything that I can do to help you, obviously, I most definitely will.
Thank
Um,
you.
I mean, it's just been so lovely talking to you. I'm not going to keep you too much longer because I know you are a busy lady. And also, Lucy has the most amazing tattoo studio, just before we go, which is located on your grandparents' farm, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so nice and it's discreet, it's quiet, it's relaxing, and it's one of those environments that you don't feel like you're going into another medical institution. And I think that might be what puts a lot of people off sometimes as well, having to revisit a hospital or an environment that they felt uncomfortable and has bad memories for them. Whereas when
Yeah.
I came to you, I felt safe. If I'm honest, I felt safe and I felt calm. And that is so important to women, and because it's men also receive this treatment as well, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, it's rare, but it happens. One man every day in the UK is diagnosed with breast cancer, but I think there's a bit more stigma around them talking about it because a lot of them think, well, I'm not a woman, this shouldn't be happening to me, but
Yeah,
it does happen. They have breast tissue, it can happen to anybody, so it's important to have those conversations.
it is. And there's a lot of women who listen to this podcast who I am sure have been affected by breast cancer in some way, even if it's not themselves. So if anybody listening can just raise awareness by going over and giving the page a like, is it just at Nip Charity? What's the
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So please do go over and give them a follow. There is a button on the website to donate as well. And if you can think of any fundraising activities to do for the Nip charity, that would be amazing. I'm going to have a good think. I'm definitely going to look at the cold dip. That's fantastic. Dip for Nip. But we're going to keep in touch. I'm seeing you again in September anyway, aren't I?
Yeah.
That's it then. Then I'm free. Which is
I
amazing.
can't wait.
I know, me too. But thanks so much for coming on today. Honestly, it's been absolutely wonderful to see you again. I'm so glad that you came into my life at the right time.
Oh, I'm so glad that I met you as well, Joanne. We had such a giggle that day, and I really enjoyed talking today on the podcast. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you as well.
You're very, very welcome, and I will see you soon. Thanks for coming on, Lucy.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. So that was my interview with the amazing Lucy Thompson. How brilliant is this woman and what she's doing? If you can head over to the Nip Instagram page and give them a like or a follow, we would be so grateful. I will put the link to it in the show notes because it's all about raising awareness of this service. People don't know that it exists. And when you're in the throes of grief, when you're grieving over lost parts of your body, your femininity, your appearance, you aren't going on Google looking at where to get nipple tattoos from, are you? You need someone to tell you about it, to send you the link, to put that information directly in front of you so you don't need to revisit the pain or the trauma of what you've already spent months, even years dealing with. So if you can share this episode with someone who needs to listen to this, then please do. We will do everything in our power to let people know that this is an option for them, that you don't have to have the money to pay for it, and that you don't need to settle for a substandard tattoo that's going to fade over time and put you right back at square one, both physically and mentally. And before I finish, I also wanted to say a massive thank you to my plastic surgeon, Benjamin Baker, whose work was incredible. And honestly, the physical reconstruction that he performed, combined with Lucy's artistic talent, means that you would never know what I've been through. So thanks, Ben, if you're listening to this. That concludes today's very special episode of the podcast. I really hope it's brought a smile to your face and it's got you Googling some 3D nipple tattoos. Honestly, you won't believe them. Go and look them up. Thank you, as always, for listening and catch up next time.